Hello and welcome to Higher or Lower, brought to you by SpreadX, Sporting Index and oddschecker. This is the show where we preview the weekend's football, looking at the midpoints in the spread betting markets and saying if we think they will eventually be higher or lower. I'm your host, George Elek, and delighted to be joined as ever by tipster Jack Wright and Dan Worth from WhoScored. Now, we've got loads to get through here. We're going to kick off in the Championship, but before we do, I actually noticed...
I'm intrigued what happened last week, George.
No one has sent me what happened last week. So Dan, I think it's up to you to tell everyone exactly how we all got on you had quite a good week, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a very good week, as did Jack.
Well done.
6 out of 8, very strong.
Nice.
And you got 100% right.
100% right? No way.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
8 out of 8. No,
goodness.
congratulations, mate.
Thank you very much.
Well
Cheers,
done.
thank you. Wow, I had no idea. I'd like to thank thank you guys. Variance would suggest I might get 0 this time around, so be careful. But
Have we got the overall league table though?
have we?
We do, yeah. Jack, you're still top, mate.
What?
Oh, no.
You have improved a lot, though. You're on 60% now. Jack on 61, and me a little bit behind.
On what?
55.
There we go.
So between us, just short of 60%, the three of us. That's
I
not
feel like
bad
at the
going.
beginning of the season, I would have thought 55% would have been a winning score. Maybe it still will be.
Still time, yeah.
It's tough competition, isn't it?
It is, yeah, especially with you two.
It is. Big week last week. Delighted, honoured. But let's try and make it 2 in a row now. And we're going to start with Sunderland against Hull. Friday Night Football live on Sky. Sunderland, Hull come into this in really patchy form. Sunderland also under Mick Beale, not setting the Championship alight, but 2 teams with serious top 6 and playoff and promotion ambitions this season. Sunderland, understandably, are the favourites for this one. They are, 0.65 is the midpoint. So a higher here is a Sunderland home win, and a lower is a draw or an away win. So Sunderland over Hull, higher or lower. This is with SpreadX. So we're going higher or lower. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Hull's form is poor. Like, there's no getting away from that. If you look at their recent league results in particular, they have won 1 of their last 5, and they've lost the other 4. That win was a home win against Blackburn, who in themselves are probably the most out-of-form team in the league. And when you consider that last time out they were beaten 2-1 by Norwich, also a team not in great form, it doesn't look particularly good. But there are some caveats to that as well. You know, they were beaten by Sheffield Wednesday 3-1 when they had Tyler Morton sent off at 0-0, and Morton's ban there was overturned. Against Norwich, yes, they weren't great, but I thought they probably created the better of the chances at 0-0 until John Rowe did a bit of a madness and scored a great goal to put Norwich 1-0 up. And there's also just a personnel factor here where, yes, they have injuries. Aaron Connolly hobbling off early in that Norwich game wasn't great. Liam Delap out as well. But I think in Fabio Carvalho, who they've signed on loan from Liverpool, they probably, and I know that he's out of form and confidence isn't great. I thought he looked quite lively against Norwich. I do think they've probably got the best player who doesn't play for one of the 3 relegated teams last season. Possibly, you're looking at probably Kiernan Dewsbury Hall as being the one at the moment who's the best player in the Championship, but maybe in terms of pure quality, the best player in the league. And I think that makes a fairly big impact. I'm not convinced at all by Sunderland at the moment under Mick Beale. It feels like the timing of the change wasn't a particularly good one. I think Beale hasn't really necessarily come in and improved Sunderland as to this stage. They're still obviously lacking a striker. Rumours that they are very much after one. Rooson's currently leading the line. I mean, Joe Bellingham has done okay there. He scored some goals, but I don't think he's the answer. So, too many question marks for me around Sunderland at the moment, and I'm happy with the draw on side to take Hull. Why is this going to be a home win?
I was of the same opinion, really, that I was thinking initially going into it, having the draw and Hull on side would be the route I'd take.
But
in the end, I have sided with Sunderland.
Why?
I just feel that Hull are lacking a striker. I think Connolly's likely to be out because it was a concussion, wasn't it? Missing Delap, missing Philogene as well, who was sensational, until his injury.
So, yeah.
Twine's obviously now gone to Bristol City, although he wasn't really hitting it off at Hull, but was certainly playing games. But this looks like a fantastic matchup. Who's going to come out on top between Jack Clarke and Carvalho? That's going to be exciting to watch. And I've sided with Jack Clarke, who did score in reverse in that 1-0 win on Boxing Day. I agree. I don't think Sunderland have set the world alight under Mick Beale. I just feel the home advantage in this one against the Hull side that are on such a poor stretch of form and with the injuries. And I'm just wondering where the goals will come from Hull when they are conceding a few. And they've obviously had that cup game in midweek.
So William Sharp of Sheffield.
There is Billy Sharp. There is Billy Sharp now of the Hull parish. So we'll see if he can do well. Quite lively, didn't he? Coming on, forced a good save from Angus Gunn in that game. But yeah, I feel Hull 2 clean sheets away all season, conceded 2+ in 6 of the last 9 across all venues in the league. I just feel that Sunderland can edge this one, but it's tight, and like I say, it's a tough one to call. A great way to start the show.
Definitely. I mean, that was quite thorough. But Sunderland are undefeated in their last 12 against Hull. So that goes back quite a long way. I know you hate those sort of stats, but I love them. Narrowly beaten by Ipswich, but 3 unbeaten in the league before that. Sunderland all the way.
How have Sunderland got on Friday nights live on Sky at home in the last 5 seasons?
I don't know, but it sounds like you do.
What about, no, I don't.
Oh.
What about when the temperature's exactly what it's going to be like on Friday night?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about temperature.
We haven't had
there
the
you
weather
go.
watch for a while, have we?
Well, I mean, it's unbelievably cold now, but I think it's going to get warmer by the weekend.
believe so.
But quite wet and windy on Saturday. Friday night in Sunderland, yeah, it's going to be a nice evening.
Oh,
so
lovely.
5
I'll
degrees,
sleep order.
bit of sun. Well, it won't be sunny by then, it'll be dark. Arsenal Palace, our first Premier League fixture that we're going to cover here, and the total goals line here is 2.95. So if you're going higher here, you're getting 3 onside. Arsenal hosting Palace. Arsenal, I think, 1 win in their last 7 in all competitions. Palace unceremoniously dumped out of the FA Cup on Wednesday night against Everton. Roy Hodgson still under pressure, despite some better recent results. Higher or lower, 2.95, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I just smacked the table there.
I've aggressively gone lower.
That's me again.
Clean sweep, and you're just riding solo this week. Going, have it.
I mean, it's a case of Palace, this really, for me. We know the way that Roy Hodgson sets up in these games against the better teams in the division. Yes, I know that they've got the 2-2 draw against City, but I just know coming into this, especially without Elise, with Eze kind of bizarrely hooked after an hour last night as well. I mean, I wonder if that's just to keep him fresh for this one. They just don't really, to my mind, have the attacking capability to cause Arsenal too much trouble. On the flip side, you've got an Arsenal side where basically all of their attacking players are out of form right now. Bukayo Saka is running on empty. It looks to me Martinelli is a shadow of what we've seen previously. Jesus, we know, isn't really in the goals. Odegaard's kind of hit a bit of a rust spell during this patch. I think this is a game for Arsenal where it is so important that they win, and I think they will win, but it doesn't strike me as a game where coming into this they're going to be bullish about being able to take on a Palace side who, for all of Hodgson's faults, if you can call them that, he is a pragmatist who can set up a team very well to defend. So, obviously it's not ideal going lower, given that if it was 2.1, I would still get the same bet. But I think having 0, 1 and 2, like I'd happily back unders here at odds against. So I'm going lower. Why do you think there's going to be goals in this one?
Well, yeah, I appreciate Arsenal have got their issues with scoring at the moment, but over 2.5 has copped in 5 of the last 6 between these two. And the one it didn't cop in was when Arsenal went 1-0 up and Tomiyasu was sent off pretty shortly after, so game plan obviously had to change.
They're not going to have a sending off here.
Oh, that wasn't one of them. Last 2 at the Emirates have ended 4-1 and 2-2, so obviously copped and quite comfortably in both. So basically, I'm just backing Arsenal to put their scoring difficulties aside and, hopefully get 3+ here.
3+.
2 crucial elements for me in this one.
Go.
The fact that it's 2.95.
Yeah.
If it had just been slightly over that, then I would have been going under as well. But the fact that I can take 3 on board, do I think it'll be goalless? No. 1, 2, I think there's goals in it. I'm happy to go with 3 because I'm not convinced by Arsenal defensive at the minute, and with Eze playing, at least there would be a golden one. But Eze there, and Palace have been creating a bit more recently. But the other crucial factor is that Arsenal have had 13 days to recover ahead of this one. They can reset, and you're bang on the money as far as their players have been out of form going into this break. I just think that where I'm putting my instinct is that the reset will just give them opportunities, because they had 61 shots across those defeats that we talked about, those last 3 games. They lost 3 in the spin, 61 shots across those. Their expected goals was actually 6 across those games, so they have been creating the chances, just not taking them. Will that continue with the likes that you've already mentioned there? I don't think so. I think they can rediscover the form against the Palace side that do concede goals. Again, especially given that they had that tough trip to Everton on Wednesday night. But can Palace scores the question as well, and they have surprisingly scored an all-by-one away league game this season. So I think they have got the ability to
Can't
at
keep
least
that
get
up,
on
can
the
they?
shoot.
Can't keep that up, can
Oh,
they?
I think they can. I think they can. Yeah, 3 of the last 4 and 5 of the last 8 have seen higher land, so I'm happy to go with it on that basis.
Right. So you guys going over goals. I'm going lower there in Arsenal Palace. Brentford, Nottingham Forest now with spread X. Last match goal is the market here. So this is the time in which the last goal is scored. With spread X, the midpoint is 65.5. So higher means there's going to be a goal after the 65th minute. Lower means the last goal will come before then. Higher or lower here? 3, 2, 1.
Ooh,
sweep. Full house.
Sweep to sweep.
Jack, you're the man with the stats, so you can lead us.
Okay, well, am I? Injury woes and international call-ups for Brentford. But, of course, I think the main talking point we all know about this one is that Ivan Toney is coming back for this one. He seems very much...
Ivan? Are you an Ivan guy?
I think I am, yeah. Ivan.
Interesting.
Yeah, are you Ivan?
I think you guys by Ivan, but I'll let you do what you want.
Okay. Okay, sorry, Ivan. Ivan Toney is returning for this one, of course. And he seems very, very hungry and determined to make a mark on it. And I think probably couldn't have picked a better game to have, a home game against Forest. Forest got lots of players, the most in fact across the whole division, away on international duty during the AFCON Cup of Nations. AFCON Cup of Nations, I've repeated myself there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, the African Cup of Nations. A great signing, I think, this week, which is maybe slightly gone under the radar for Brentford, given the hoo-ha around Tony's return, is Reguilon. Is that
Reguilon.
Reguilon?
That's a bit French. Reguilon.
Reguilon.
Yeah, butchered it.
Have a think about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fantastic signing for them. They've obviously missed Rico Henry on that left-hand side. He was a pivotal part of their attacking processes. Very offensive defender. A good cross with the ball, cracking left foot, as they say, a wand of a left foot. So I think that's a real good fit for them, and I'm really looking forward to watching him in action there, and especially with Toney being a focal point back in that. Forest, of course, were in a marathon cup tie against Blackpool, went to extra time, having been 2 goals up as well. So that will play a part in this one as well, I feel. Close fought games last term as well. Could see the same here. The last 3 meetings between 2 sides seen goals in the 65th, and then 2 games where there was goals in added on time at the end of the 90. Superb stuff. And Brentford's home games are the real element that I've looked at here. 9 of their 10 at home have seen this line higher. An average of 77.2 as far as their last goal minutes are concerned. Will bypass Forest away. I think this is about Brentford and their home form. Atmosphere will be freezing cold, but white hot.
Not freezing cold.
Oh yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it?
Saturday's warm,
clement,
wet, windy. Right, very different to outside now, which is cold, dry, and still.
Yeah,
sunny.
Really, Brentford, we know good atmosphere there, and it's a Saturday evening game. White hot atmosphere.
White hot, but probably dark.
Probably dark.
Dan?
I just think, like, generally, I'd prefer to be on the higher side of this market as a sort of at that 65.5 across pretty much most Premier League games.
I don't disagree.
And the numbers kind of back it up. 45% of goals this season scored by anyone in the Premier League have come after this.
Really?
So that's quite nice.
That's not even last goal. That's just goals.
Yeah, just goals.
Wow.
45% of all goals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Come after the 65th minute.
Feels like there should be a blanket buy.
That's kind of my argument from now on.
Yeah.
75%.
Of your attitude to player goal minutes, isn't it?
Well, we'll soon find out. 75%.
Start of the day so far, that Dan. Well done.
Really good. You sure it's right?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure
very
people after
confident
will pick me up on it. If not,
No.
75% of the guys on Twitter X agree with us. It's copped in the 3 of the last 4 Forest games. Not looking at away form, and 2 of the last 4 Brentford. So yeah, late goals.
Yeah, I think the Toney thing is important here. I mean, the only concern I have is, does he come off after an hour? Possibly. Given it's his first game back, he hasn't played much. But I also think the key thing for me here is Forest, where I think Nuno is probably perceived as being a fairly pragmatic defensive manager, and I don't think we're seeing that at the moment. We've seen the games against Newcastle and against Manchester United, a lot of goal-mouth action. Although Newcastle came quite early, even so, we still saw quite end-to-end games. And
Blackpool.
And then last night. Although
Both games.
Again, I think this would have... I think the last goal last night was at 65 minutes, which is a bit of a shame. But even so, Forest... maybe that's wrong. But even so, Forest were 2-0 up just after half-time, and Blackpool came back into it. So, not great at defending a lead, but good at getting back into games when behind. Good to get ahead, as we saw through Gibbs White with that brilliant goal on the break against Manchester United as well. So, Forest, for me at the moment, until we see something different, feel to me a team where game state plays such a massive part in their games. When they're ahead, they're struggling to hold on to it. When they're behind, they're coming on strong. So,
and I think this is a massive relegation battle, isn't it? It's turned into that.
It is, especially because Forest are going into this game basically having no idea how many points they're on.
Exactly right. Yeah.
For Brentford, they're probably sitting a bit more cosy, even though right now they're not. Right? They are the team just above the relegation zone. I mean, I don't think a draw really helps either side here, which helps this as well.
Absolutely right.
Bournemouth against Liverpool now. What a game this should be on Sunday. Again, weather not great on the south coast. But Bournemouth-Liverpool, we are looking at first match goal for this one. 29 to sell, the sporting index 32 to buy. So the midpoint is 30.5. So basically lower means there will be a goal in the first half an hour. Higher means no, there won't.
I always go higher.
3, 2, 1.
But not this
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, this seems... Because no one said higher, I'll make the argument for higher quickly. Like, there are significant issues with Liverpool's lineup here, with obviously Mo Salah at AFCON, there's Szoboszlai and Trent both out as well. Their right side is decimated. And there's no denying that when you consider how important a role all three of those play in both build-up, chance creation and goal scoring, they're going to be weaker. But I think this is more about Iraola versus Klopp. This is about two guys who are so wedded to their playing philosophy that it's just not going to matter at all who the personnel are. It's going to be really open. Both teams are going to be looking to attack whenever possible. And in a similar way, like we've seen Postecoglou in Spurs' games start so fast, I find it really difficult to see why or how this game could do anything other than just descend into chaos fairly early on, and that should spell goals. Like half an hour is quite a long time, even though, obviously with 45 goals scored after the 65th minute, there can't be that many goals being scored early.
Well, it's bang on the league average for time of first goal.
Yeah, fine.
Well, it's 31 minutes, so
Okay.
30.5.
And this is not an average game.
No, it's not. It's not. And Liverpool and Bournemouth, Liverpool's average is 29, 29th minute, and Bournemouth's is 22nd minute. So both come under that 31 average. So that's literally my whole argument.
That is the data.
There we go.
Here ends the lesson. Right. Jack.
Yeah, absolutely glorious game on paper, isn't it?
Yeah.
There it is. And I feel that the Bournemouth are in such great form, they will go at Liverpool, and that just means it's going to be absolute carnage, as you rightly say. So Bournemouth, great run of form, ended with that defeat against Spurs. But wow, they went down swinging, didn't they? 24 shots they had in that game. That was away at Spurs, who normally dominate the ball, and you'd expect to dominate that particular game, but that wasn't the case. It was fairly even possession-wise, and as I said, Bournemouth had more shots. So where Spurs did pick them off was on the counter-attack. So I think we should see that as an option here for Liverpool. Certainly. Chaos game against Queen's Park Rangers. They bounced back from that in the FA Cup as well, and we know Liverpool have having those games where they tend to go behind and then come back to win. So they won the reverse. Opener was in the 3rd minute of that one. They obviously also met in the League Cup here, where the goal was in the 31st minute. That's a bit of a sucker punch, isn't it? But yeah, I just feel there'll be lots and lots of chances. Liverpool top for XG and chance created, shots in the box, and Bournemouth concede the most shots in the box. So I think it's a match made in heaven here for goals fans. You're going to love it. Fun on a Sunday afternoon.
Fun
And
on
early
a
goals. Yeah, it's got to be early goals.
Same game now, sticking with Sporting Index's markets in Bournemouth-Liverpool, but looking at the player goal minutes. Dan's favourite. He's got a 0% record. No, I don't know if that's true, is it? Is it true?
No, I think Haaland saved me a few times,
Okay.
but it's not far off naught.
Dominic Solanke, one of the informed players in the league, is the player we're focusing on here. So this is the cumulative amount of minutes that a player scores their goals in. So if Solanke doesn't score, it'll make up 0. If he scores after 5 minutes and not again, make up 5. If he scores in the 5th minute and the 60th minute, it'll make up 65, and so on and so forth. The midpoint here is 23.5. So 22 to sell, 25 to buy. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Ah, look at this.
Looky here.
There we go.
It's a.
I'm just trying to let you guys come back into it. It's a,
Yeah.
it's a massive seller's market. It is. It's a market that I don't really like. We've spoken about it before. I still find it funny that I think early in the season, Dan, you bought Solly Marsh. I went high on Solly Marsh at about 14. I think he's scored since.
Yeah.
But it is, I think normally the players I like to buy here fit into two categories, right? Either players playing out of position whose line is low. So like if you've got a left back who's playing left wing, but they're 4 to buy, you capitalise on that. Yeah, so nice. Or when you've got an outsider in a game and they're their main striker, but it's a game where there are loads of goals forecast. And obviously that is to an extent going to be factored into the price. But Liverpool are understandably favourites for this game. The goal line is high. And in my mind, whilst Liverpool are justifiably favourites, the probability of Bournemouth and their main striker scoring in it, I think is still relatively high because I expect it to be a really open game. So in Solanke, you've got a perfect player for this, where if he stays fit, will play 90 minutes. If they get a penalty, he will take it. He's bang in form. He is the player that has been the focal point of this incredibly attacking Bournemouth side. So, I think he's obviously odds against to score in the game. I'd probably, again, be happy to back him at the fixed odd prices that he is, if you look on oddschecker. But I fancy this to be really end-to-end. And if Bournemouth do get on the score sheet, which I think they will, Solanke's the obvious person to do it. And again, because of the way the game should descend with the goal being late, it wouldn't surprise me if Bournemouth are piling on the pressure from behind as well. So it's unlike, it's not one I normally feel comfortable with, but I think in this case, I'm happy to buy Solanke or to go higher at 23.5. Yeah. Why am I wrong?
It's a tough sell. It is a tough sell. So, Dan, I think you said that you had a fair bit of info on him. Do you want to...
Well, I just wanted to bring up, you mentioned he's in form, and you're absolutely right. He's fourth in the WhoScored form rankings at the moment with a rating of 7.71. So that just goes to show, the form he's in. And since the start of December, no player scored more goals than him in the Premier League with 6. Nice. So you may ask, why am I going lower?
So it's the Solly Marsh theory. He's running hot. You want to get against him in a purple patch. Fair enough.
Yeah, to be fair, that's your usual usual tactic, isn't it? Is go against the grain.
I don't think this is a purple patch.
You don't?
No, I think he's just quality, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. It's hard to disagree, but coming up against his old employer, never scored against Liverpool.
A few old employers, to be fair.
He does have a few, yeah. Never scored against them.
England international, Dominic Solanke.
Yeah.
Made his debut in 2018.
Is he going to make the Euros?
Yeah, I think it's 4 to 1 to do so.
Is he?
I don't think so.
No.
I think with Tony back, with Watkins fit, I think Calvert-Lewin's now a way off it. But yeah, I think there are too many options ahead of him. Can I continue there?
Oh, no worries. I enjoy that. The only other point I have is Liverpool have the tightest defence in the league. Only conceded 18 times this season. So arguably will be his toughest opponents, and they'll be well aware of his form and will hope to peter him out, I think.
I've never heard peter him out used before, as if it's like a verb.
Is it correct?
I'm going to peter you out, mate.
It sounds about right.
Jack?
I've had to follow Peter out. I'll try to do the opposite of that. It was a tough sale. He's in good form this season. You look at his uptake, not uptake, I've gone along the same bit as you. Upturn in form since, from what we've seen previously, is 0.64 goals per 90 this season. So I'm going with the opposite argument here before I hit
balance.
The killer punch. Prior to that, it was 0.17 per 90 in his Premier League history. 10 goals in 96 games prior to this season where he's got 12. So, as you can see, is it a purple patch? Is it him finally kind of fulfilling that potential that we sort of expected him to have and knew he had from a while back now? I think huge. He's been a huge factor in the Areola upturn in form. Yep. Key part of that, and I think as a key man, I think that's where Liverpool's defensive attentions will focus on him. And just looking at his record against the better sides in the league this season was enough for me to go, let's say, yes, a seller's market. I generally would like to go lower where the line's here. He scored in 9 games this season, but blanked against Liverpool in the reverse fixture, Tottenham in both games against them, Chelsea, Arsenal and Manchester City. So
About time he scored against a good team, isn't it?
can he score against good teams?
Yes.
That's the question. Can he? Don't know.
Scored loads of goals in the Championship against those are great teams.
Well, yeah, at that level. I know, superb stuff. But this line has hit in 7 of 20, so I'm taking the 13 and 20 where it hasn't hit and gone with the lower.
Fair enough. I'm going to be so happy if he scores.
I'm going to be so happy if he scores in the
first 20 minutes. Because then the first match goal will cop. I'll be happy too.
Unreal.
Yeah. Brighton Wolves now is our penultimate game. We're going to be covering this week's higher or lower. Sporting Index have the midpoint here for total goals at 3.15. There is a new customer offer. If you click on the link below, you got bet 25, get 50. Total goals is one of the markets, so you get your free bets in. T's and C's to apply, but click on the link below if you don't have a Spreadex or Sporting Index account, and you can set one up there and get the new customer offer. The Brighton Wolves, De Zerbi against O'Neill. The midpoint 3.15. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. All higher.
Ah, look at that.
Yeah.
All higher on a 3.1.
Yeah, it's a relatively high line, isn't it?
Don't see that often, do you?
Not often.
De Zerbi goals. Next game, come on, Jack, you lead us.
Pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the key element here again for me is that break for Brighton. They're going to come into this 16 games refreshed, or 16 days, sorry, refreshed.
16 games refreshed.
What is going on? It's the temperature, it's so cold.
It is.
Freezing the brain.
Won't be by then, though.
It won't be, but it'll be
No.
glorious down on the south coast.
Perfect for goals.
Yeah, absolutely right, yeah. Is it any coincidence that since their European commitments have finished that we've kind of seen a revert back to the Brighton that we saw at the start of the season, goals galore, action. They were sensational against Spurs in their last home game. 4-0 lead they took, ended 4-2, so again, it's pretty much a stereotypical template Brighton performance, really, to be fair. Saw the same scoreline in the last game, which was against Stoke in the FA Cup. And they are still 7th in the table, despite a little bit of a wobble in form. So absolutely got a great chance of qualifying for Europe again next season, based purely on their league position. And I say that 16 days of that game, I think, will give them that great opportunity to come into this fresh and revitalised with a De Zerbi tactical masterclass. And the same can't be said for Wolves, who've obviously had quite a hectic schedule, including that FA Cup tie, which went to extra time in midweek as well. And there's been goals galore in the most recent fixtures between these two sides.
Yeah.
And I think Wolves have certainly changed under Gary O'Neill, have changed that idea of what they're about, which tend to be quite a turgid, defensively minded side. And they've been pretty exciting to watch this season and been involved in lots of exciting games. And as I said, this was 4-1 in the reverse to Brighton, 3-2 last season, and this game last season was 6-0 to Brighton. So lots and lots of goals. Third best for expected goals across their last 6 league games, third overall for home games this season. So all points towards their being goals. Wolves got the slight negative in that Wang's away on international duty, but that's balanced with the fact that Neto's coming back, who I think will suit this game perfectly, with Wolves sitting relatively deep and looking to exploit Brighton on the counter-attack. So 6 of 10, it is a high line, so you wouldn't expect to see too many games crossing this line, but 6 out of 10 Brighton home games this season have seen 4 or more goals at an average of 3.6. They've failed to score in none of those games. They've kept no clean sheets in any of those games either, so action at both ends of the field. And even 3 of Wolves' 10 away games have seen 4 or more goals, which is quite a high percentage, really, when you see you're looking at over 3.5 goals per game. Average of 3.1 per away game. Only failed to score in 2 away games. One of those was contentiously against Manchester United, where they did everything but score on the first game of the season, and only kept 1 clean sheet on the road. So this certainly does point all towards plenty of goals.
Yeah, I think Wolves are very quietly the entertainers of the league, where Gary O'Neill gets a lot of credit, and rightly so. But you look at, especially away from home this season, they've only kept 1 clean sheet, and that came on the 26th of August. Since then, they've conceded 3 against Palace, 3 against Ipswich in the Cup away from home. They conceded 3 at Fulham recently, conceded 3 at West Ham recently. Then, of course, beat Brentford 4-1 last time out. They are conceding a lot of goals away from home. They score a fair few as well. And I think when you've got a team in Wolves who are really struggling to keep teams, basically to keep clean sheets on the road, up against a De Zerbi side, you have to assume that Brighton in this game are going to score a goal or create chances, and then that creates a really open environment for it to follow recent trends of both teams. So I'm pretty strong here that this could be, a really high scoring game and cover the 3.15 pretty comfortably.
Yeah, agreed. 18 of 20 Brighton's games have been both teams. Oh, I've seen both teams score as well. So you do have to go into this thinking that both teams will get on the score sheet. Wolves have scored at least twice in their last 3 league games. Brighton have scored the 6th most goals in the entire league. But on the flip side, conceded the 7th most goals with 33. So yeah, everything I've looked at in preparation for this is pointing towards goals, I think.
Monday night football.
There we go, fun.
Fun
On one.
Yeah. Probably my strongest pick this week, I think, this one.
Interesting. Now,
Ooh.
I normally joke when I say this, but if you watch one game this weekend, make sure it is Monday night Leicester against Ipswich. I'm normally not allowed to watch Monday night football at home.
Oh.
Yeah, just...
Is Monday a weekend?
Well, no, it's more just like I watch, obviously Saturday I'll have to work, watching all the games. Sunday, there's games on. Monday morning I have to catch up and everything. So by Monday night my wife's like, can we just watch The Traitors? And I'm
It's
like...
a good choice.
And I'm like, I'm really sorry the new episode doesn't come out to Wednesday. And she's like, oh no. So, yeah, but this Monday night I will absolutely be watching Leicester against Ipswich because this is... I mean, all eyes on this basically. We're going to see what happens with Leeds and Southampton beforehand, but I think we can probably anticipate with the games they've got, they should pick up 6 points. And if they do, and if Ipswich can even get a draw or possibly even a win at the King Power on Monday, then it starts to feel like the Championship is back to being wide open. With just recently Leicester looking like they were going to win the league and do so at a procession. They were beaten by Coventry last time out in that game. Abdul Fatawi was sent off, so he's missing for 3 games. Ironically, having turned down the chance to go to AFCON, he's now going to miss the entirety of AFCON after that red card, and they lost 3-1 to Coventry. So with players out suspended, injured at AFCON, there probably isn't a better time for for Ipswich to play Leicester, and Ipswich returning to some form with a 2-1 win over Sunderland last time out. It is perfectly poised. Make sure you watch it. The first market we're going to look at is the Sporting Index market, with Leicester over Ipswich, the supremacy market. 0.65 is the midpoint here, so higher would be a Leicester win, lower would be an Ipswich win or a draw. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I'm gutted.
Oh, that setup sounded like you were going to go the other
Yeah,
way
it
there,
did.
George. I
Well,
forgot we hadn't even picked the market. I was just listening to you, hanging on your every word.
Well, for cards on the table, I backed Ipswich pre-season each way to win the Championship. I've also backed Leeds, so I really want I want Ipswich to win this, and also just from like a professional point of view, it's quite good if the Championship is open rather than being a done deal.
Yep.
But this feels to me like I've been pre-season and all season I've been really reticent to like overly praise Leicester because unlike Burnley last season, unlike Bielsa's Leeds, it's felt to me like Leicester visually are brilliant and amazing to watch, but I think the best teams make their superiority over teams really obvious in scorelines. And the amount of games Leicester win by late goals or marginal goals, yes, it says a lot about their desire, it says a lot about their ability to get over the line, it says a lot about their fitness, 100%, but it doesn't feel a sustainable model for me for them to go and break records and for points tallies. So this feels like a time, though, where because of that defeat against Coventry, because the players are out, that's starting to catch up with their price. But realistically, they're playing an Ipswich side whose recent form is really poor, who George Hurst is out suspended for this one. So he's out injured for this one. And his physical presence up top is so important for what they do. Caden Jackson did well against Sunderland. They've got Freddie Ladapo there as well, who's okay, but they're trying to bring in a striker. Seemingly their attempts to bring Sam Gallagher in from Blackburn have hit a snag. And that massively weakens them. So, yeah, I mean, cards on the table, I want Ipswich to win this one, but I think Leicester at home, like if you look at how both teams have done this season, you look at still the 11s that are going to be put out, with Tom Cannon settling into life really well in recent weeks for Leicester, there is, in my mind, a gap between these two sides that will still be a gap of probably of 10, 15 points come the end of the season, and I've got to put Leicester up begrudgingly. Not because anything against Leicester, but just because, I think for
your pocket.
My pocket, and also just the sporting drama.
The greater good of the league as well.
Yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a monologue, and I think this is actually probably frustratingly my strongest fancy of the week.
There we go. We'll take note then after last week's performance from you.
Dan?
Well, firstly, 82% of Twitter participants agree with you and all of us. I think one thing that I'm not sure if you mentioned, because you did mention a lot, is Leicester's home form. And obviously they are the home team here, so generally, I prefer to back the home team. I don't think I'm alone in that. They've only lost twice at the King Power this season, whereas Ipswich have only won 2 of their last 7 on the road.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a mismatch there. And I think this is no data at all, but Liverpool, no, they'll do well to win here. Leicester will just be so keen to bounce back from Coventry because we kind of built that up last week as well. I think that would have hurt as much as I enjoyed it, obviously, from the Reading angle. I think they'll just want to prove a point here and kind of build their gap again.
Yeah, I'm kind of just happy to sit here and listen to the EFL expert. I mean, George, obviously, absolutely superb. Nailed it, and say I think we did mention the clean sweep last week, but you absolutely nailed the Coventry game, mentioning Callum O'Hare in that one as well. And
he was good, wasn't
he? Yeah, very, very good indeed. So, yeah, they'll look to bounce back from that. Wonder how much the red card obviously had an impact because that was just before half time, wasn't it? And with Leicester in front at that point in time. But yeah, I'm happy to side with a team that won 21 or 27 this season. They do look imperious at this level, and I think Ipswich just have had that little bit of wobble. Kiefer Moore, is that an option that I think they had a loan offer turned down at this moment?
Yeah, he's been linked to a couple. I mean, I'd be amazed if he's in by Monday anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for Ipswich, just going through that tough part of the season for them at this moment in time, and it doesn't really get much tougher than going away to Leicester here. So happy to take Leicester on. Just needing to win. If it was, say, that line was a little bit higher and I needed them to win by more than one, then probably would have gone the other way. But yeah, I think just a straightforward win here. I think a key element as well as far as a missing component for Ipswich, you talked about Hurst up front, but also Massimo Luongo missing possibly could be crucial for their...
Lewis Travis settled them well though.
Yeah, I know, that was a great pick-up for them, to be fair on that one. And good on them. And Sam Moore's available for this one?
I think so.
Yeah. So that'll be a boost for them. But apparently, Jamie Vardy, who's decent at this level, I think would say was possibly back. He's back in training for Leicester, so it'll be a good option behind Tom Cannon, as you say, who's very good up the top.
Right, final market in this one, and the final market of this week's show in the same game is the total goal minutes. The total accumulative minutes that which goals are scored in the game. 142, the Sporting Index is the midpoint here. 137 to buy. 137 to sell, 147 to buy. Going higher or lower, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I'm pretty strong on this as well. I think if you look like Ipswich's games this season, generally have followed a very similar pattern where games at Portman Road have been very high scoring, away games have absolutely not been. And when you consider, if you look at the way this game, they played each other a couple of weeks ago and the game finished 1-1, and Leicester went ahead through Steffi Mavididi and then just sat on their lead because they are defensively really strong, and it took a wickedly deflected effort in the 97th minute, double deflection, wasn't it, to get Ipswich back in the game. Where even though Ipswich were probably good value on the balance of play for their point, that was only because Leicester didn't really create anything after the goal. And I think we'll see exactly the same here. Leicester's, for all of the good play, for all of the expansive football, Leicester's success this season, for the most part, I know they've had a few games recently where they've racked up a score. It's been built on their incredibly solid defensive unit, where they don't really concede chances. And I think if they do get ahead here, which I think they will, it'll be a similar case where they're like, we're playing against a side who struggled to score away from home, they're missing their best striker, we're just going to keep you at arm's length here. So, and even though the goal came very late in that last one, which means that they probably would have gone over the line given Mavididi's goal, I can see this being a low-scoring affair. And I think if I was to have a bet on it, I'd probably say Leicester to 0 would be my bet. Jack?
Yeah, it's interesting. I wondered how you were going to go with that one. So good stuff. Yeah, I feel it just felt like goals to me here. I said the stats don't necessarily back it up. It's one of the more the ones I've gone with my gut than anything else. Yeah, and there's plenty of that. If I'm going to throw some stats at it to back it up, to give extra confidence to those viewers, I think you've mentioned yourself, Leicester have opened up a little bit more in recent weeks. If that trend continues here, then so we'll be set for some high minutes. They've scored a minimum of 3 goals in their last 4 at home. Those games are total 288, 197, 278 and 170 minutes, an average of 233. And I think they'll look to, say, right the wrongs of last week and put on a bit of a performance against Ipswich that I think did get hammered against Leeds, and I think could possibly go down the same route here with Leicester looking to put on a bit of a show.
Dan?
Yeah, absolutely hoping so. 4-0 would be quite nice, wouldn't it?
It would.
We had a 4-goal game last week that still was, we all said low and we were all right, weren't we?
Is that so?
I think so.
Your memory is much better than
I've
mine.
actually had last week's selections tattooed on my back.
Yeah.
So.
that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, well, you both mentioned it. Like, seems to be loads of goals with Leicester at the moment, and you're right with the 1-1 last time out, but Leicester are at home this time. So I'm hoping they don't sit back if they do get an early lead. And just like generally, I love goals, right? So
I love goals.
So you're going to be watching this one rather than Brighton?
dual screen for sure.
Dual screen, love it.
Could be, yeah, well, I forgot they were on at the same time. Make sure you watch Leicester, Ipswich, watch the Brighton highlights later.
15 minutes difference between the two.
So you can kind of like,
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite nice.
where does the Traitors fit in?
Well, on Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah, no. I haven't watched last night's yet, so don't say
No, well, not me
No,
either.
not
I'm
me.
caught up finally.
apparently it's very good.
Oh, can't wait.
I was scrolling last night and suddenly saw a couple of spoilers, so be careful.
Oh, no.
Okay, I won't. I'll
Be
keep my eyes
careful.
off social media.
Thank you very much to the guys as ever for sharing their tips and thoughts and insight ahead of this weekend's football. Do check out SpreadX and Sporting Index for all your spread betting needs. Click on the link below if you haven't got an account, and you can use that Bet25 Get 50 offer for new customers only. And do remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit. Check out oddschecker for your fixed odds betting needs, and WhoScored for all the stats that go into certainly this man's research, and everyone else should use it as well for their stats-based stuff as well. Enjoy the football. We'll be back again. But we'll be back in next week. FA Cup, isn't it?
No, we won't be back next week.
See you in 2 weeks. Have a great week off. All the best. Enjoy the football, and please ensure that you gamble responsibly.